Welcome everybody, I'm Cold Squirrel 98, or you all know me as Aiden. And this is the updated Corner Talk. As you can see, we got more corner and TV. Yay! I'm in a different environment, so different Corner Talk. Sorry about this. Still crappy camera quality, but better editing now. So hopefully that's better. Today I wish to talk about something that's, well, been plaguing the internet pretty much for a while now. Astroturfing. What is astroturfing? You guys probably don't know it. Honestly, it's kind of interesting to explain. Defined by the Webster Dictionary, astroturfing is an organized activity intended on creating false impressions of a widespread, spontaneous, or rising grassroots movement in support of an opposition or something as such as a political party, but that is actually really initiated and controlled by a concealed group or organizations, usually corpos. Let's agree on that. Alright, well, let's talk about a website called Reddit.com. Reddit is said to be the front page of the internet, usually the heart and soul of it. Some would wager 4chan, but you know, feds ran it. Whoops. Who could have seen that coming? Anyway, it's home to many different places and forums people lurking. You know, you got your local city subs, you know, you got your cat subs, and your other type of cat subs. But, you know, there's also your big political movement subs. And then you get the stupid stuff like r/USSR, which, yeah, for people whose parents drank while they were in the womb, it makes sense that they would have these opinions. Sidebar for a second. They're not actually Soviet Russians longing for the Soviet empire to come back. They're people from the Midwest that just want to see the US fall because I don't know why. Again, the internet is stupid. Anywho, with that, I want to segue into actually our main topic. What is astroturfing and why is it such a problem on the internet? Well, let's take a look at Reddit right now. If I opened up without an account, the first thing you would see is an r/science article with 62k upvotes and 3k comments and a few of those useless paid Reddit rewards, which is like $5 each. I've read through the article that was linked for what it is, as it's stating very clearly that apparently there's a link between conservatism and basically being a not morally upstanding person. Yeah, but if you actually read the actual article, it's neither of that. It's, well, it's a pop science article. Pop science articles, the best way one of my teachers ever described them, it's like if you imagine BuzzFeed was trying to be scientific and smart, but they're still equally cringe. That's what it is. Now, after going through that and reading through the article, you get to a next one, which is from r/lol, which shows a video of, well, Epstein, because he's back in the news. Great. And then you get a third Reddit page, our TikTok cringe, which honestly, it's not even just cringe, it's weaponized pain. It's too cringe to even talk about. Honestly, there's a whole video I could do on it, but that subreddit sucks. Anywho, in the video, it's something to do with Trump again. Which, are you noticing a weird pattern here on Reddit? Now this continues for most of the posts on here. For a time, though, it gets broken up by a couple things. It's not for another 10 that it takes you to your first pet video on the internet. First 10 posts are about the same topic. Now, what would you say is happening there? Is the most important thing in the internet this random news cycle? But they're not all the exact same. It's all different things for Trump. Well, maybe the local city subreddits, you know, maybe they're a bit more positive. You know, you're gonna maybe find some good street art or street food. Hell, maybe you might even hear about the local sports team. Be great. And never mind. My friend was wrong. If I'm ever in the Bay Area, I guess I shouldn't bother checking this because, again, there's no point to. It's all political stuff. You know, anti-ICE raids and, you know, talking about, like, other politics stuff. I mean, like, come on, surely everyone isn't just talking politics on Reddit. I mean, come on, someone else has to be doing something. Oh, what's this? Well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe the whole site does. According to the 2023 paper, the grass is not always greener on the other side. The use of digital astroturfing to spread disinformation and the erosion of rule of law by Briara Di Rosa Lotario from the University of LSU, quote, in 2016, following the United States presidential election, the National Intelligence Council released an assessment that pointed out a digital astroturfing campaign sponsored by Russia. The reports mentioned a St. Petersburg agency called the IRA, or Internet Research Agency, ironic name, really, who is a digital astroturfing organization specializing in creating fake profiles and mimicking users and regular interactions. This campaign was successful in 2018, and the social media platform Twitter, now renamed X, found 1.4 million fake US-based users that were most likely affiliated with this organization. End quote. Here we can see, well, Twitter had a problem with bots. So bad that it numbered in the millions. Millions. Think about that for a minute. Millions of them. Now, we can estimate that also occurred on Reddit. I mean, it's logistically probable. So, a couple years later, right now actually, we get more update on this information. But, look, I'm not a politics YouTuber. I don't deal in politics. I deal in science and data analyst stuff. Really, that's our wheelhouse here. That's what we do. But basically, this quote shows, however, though, prevalent a problem of bots across all social media platforms are, if they're FedRAN or not. Like, and Reddit is kind of one of the worst offenders of this. See, so many random movements have just shown up. Random, like, protest things, random, you know, oh, we should march here or do XYZ type of thing. Obviously, one that people probably memed on a lot was over the 4th of July weekend, the No Kings protest, which, good job, guys. We haven't had a king since like almost 250 years, and we still don't. Good job. That was a real great one. Real great one. Or the 50-50-1 protest, which, I'm gonna be real, I honestly don't know anything about. Give me a second, hold on. Okay. So, this protest claims it was a grassroots project completely spurred on by people wanting to protest the current government, which you have the right to do. You can do that. Hell, we all agree on that. That's great. Here's where it gets fun. This is actually not a grassroots movement. It was funded by two political organizations, one being the Democratic Party, because obvious, kind of obvious on that, and the second, the NAACP, which, Now, why is that there? The National Association for Colored People. And then you realize, oh, the Democratic Party's there as well. Of course they're going to be there, because they go hand in hand with one another. They're just very parallel on doing things. Like, it's like that. So, when it comes to Reddit like that, you kind of get very obviously, oh, that's what it is. Okay, interesting. And lastly, which I would wager is the biggest one of these type of spontaneous protests, would be California. You've probably seen something in the news maybe you saw like a Twitter post about it, or, you know, you just heard about it from someone. All of the anti-ICE riots. Now, here's the fun thing about this. These clearly started off of Reddit. You can tell. You can even find the accounts that started it. Like, just by doing a basic Google search to find it. Well, here's the most interesting part. Allegedly, again, allegedly, just so like lawyers don't come after me, allegedly, read my lips, allegedly, George Soros funded these. Now, for everyone who doesn't know, he's a billionaire. Guy's not really too fond of anything that's not his government style, which he's not really fond of a lot of people. Anywho, he has actually been under fire for that, but he's denying it. But what this whole entire preamble and ramble here is to prove that basically these are not really natural movements. They're not just like me going around my town, putting up a flyers and telling people, hey, we should have more funding for our school system. What do y'all say? And people would be like, yeah, we agree with that. Yeah, no, we should do that. Yeah, right? It's not that. It's very clearly they are, I guess, crowdfunded by corpos. They're corpo rats. That's what they are. They're corpo rat protests. Like, and when you really start looking into a lot of that, you have to start asking yourself, why is it like that? Now, you're probably asking yourself, well, Aiden, how the hell did these start? I mean, surely it's like nearly hard to do this. Well, wouldn't you want to know? And I think I have the answer. So welcome to a new game show, Who's Funding a Bot? Yay! Tonight our contestants are simple. Is it option A, an unpaid intern at the CIA? Option B, a Chinese office space with thousands of phones and fake accounts? Or is it option C, a guy named Tim who has a lot of free time after being on house arrest? Ladies and gentlemen, a drum roll for our winner, please. And the answer is B. Maybe A, but mostly B. What do I mean by that? Well, it's something that you kind of can figure out. And most people do know of. China kind of has a big propaganda, like, is the best way to describe it, wing of their government. A great example of it is TikTok. Actually, it was intended to be used initially just to observe like Western markets. But then it became its own big social media and it's a whole thing now, so there's that. But here I have a video from China where it shows how one of these bot farms work. Now, the video had no subs, so I don't really know what the guy's saying. I don't speak Mandarin Chinese, I speak French. But if I had to wager a guess, it's something to do with how they either set up the farm or how the farm is meant to run. And from looking around on the internet, you can find a bit more information on what they do. They modify the phones by taking out their batteries and taking out the screens and attaching them to basically a bigger array of phones and screens. Right? Now, they do this, and then using a bunch of programming to make automated bots to make accounts, they then do it to signal boost whatever they're trying to promote. Be it, China looking good, or, I don't know, something in this protest space or something. Vague ideas like that, What I find hilarious is it's a bot being used to make bots. It's almost self-aware enough to know that, it's completely useless and stupid. Now, like I mentioned, though, why is this such a big thing? Why is this such a problem across Reddit and most of the internet? Well, like I said before, there's a wide range of factors, Political movement A, political movement B, someone wanting something, example. But I would rather prefer how this describes it. In the article, manipulating visibility of political and apolitical threads on Reddit via score boosting, which I have linked below, where all my sources will be. Always do that. Credit your sources, everyone. Do it. I demand you do that. Below, the researchers outlined that the data of upvote ratios of two different subreddits. This is from 2018. r/TheDonald, which sequentially has just been nuked by Reddit because Reddit. And the other is Ask Reddit, which, for anyone who doesn't know, is a subreddit where it's just Redditors asking questions to people. It's actually what Reddit's kind of intended purpose is for. In which they used AI tools to scrounge and scrub through data of Reddit for rising trends and or used to monitor how the trend grew over time. Say like a good 5-day period is really what they were scraping, and updating data on it every 30 minutes. Then they observed the rate of upvotes to the comment ratios while not initially engaging with the initial post after being posted, except for a one-time influx of botted upvotes on a random post for that. Now, through the findings, the researchers concluded that an influx of the upvotes started to change the way the trends would start appearing on Reddit. At first it would go from like, oh, this is just like a one random off post, but as that one keeps going higher and higher and higher, so does it expanding from its containment. So, after that, they concluded that you were easily able to manipulate the rest of Reddit, and by proxy, the whole internet as a whole, because this idea is now grown. Imagine, in a sense, you have, I don't know, let's say you make like a real good cat video, but you only post it to something like r/all or iBleach, right? Where it's just like, hey, it's just contained to that. But one of these posts get botted and start putting its traffic up, it will eventually breach those ones. It will be reposted somewhere. It will be, someone will take credit for it here, or some Twitter page will capture it here. That's kind of what they concluded, is that these would kind of basically raise a post that beyond what it would normally gain traction for. Especially in subs where it's, how do we put this? Very mod heavy. Combine that with obvious bot farms from foreign entities, and you can see how this kind of might be useful to a website like Reddit. Now, why does Reddit specifically have this problem, though? Something like YouTube bots don't, though. And YouTube bots are a whole different can of worms. Let's not, ignore that. They are a massive can of worms that, realistically, you gotta figure out more. But Reddit and YouTube are very different in the way they handle things. So, for context, Reddit would usually is a message board. That's how it is. It's form posts. It's sites within a site. YouTube, on the other hand, it's video sharing. It's person making one thing on one channel. Reddit is thousands of people on one page making one post, compared to one Reddit channel making one thing, So, when you get that, and, you compare the two bot systems, why does YouTube's bots never have that range? Well, it's simple. Producing a video takes way longer than just automated text posting. Like, if you wanted to sit down and, let's just, in a hypothetical situation, I want to start a political movement. The political movement is, I don't know, I want to remove waffles, like, on Tuesdays. There should be no waffles anywhere in the United States on Tuesdays. Stupid political idea. It's stupid, very dumb idea. But you post something about it on YouTube where it's like, I believe that we shouldn't have waffles on Tuesday. Hey, that type of thing. People are just going to view it as, well, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But on Reddit, it's a text post. It's not a video where people are like, oh, yeah, okay, this is just, eh. On Reddit, no, it can be reposted way quicker, Instead of just grabbing the clip and having to edit a video to make it longer, you have to just basically spam a bunch of subs with this idea, and eventually it'll just be like, oh yeah, we shouldn't do that. Instagram is a very similar way with YouTube, where its direct content is harder to bot. It's not really hard to make those content. You can, but what you're going to be using bots for is more exposure, more likes, more engagement with what you personally make. Reddit, on the other hand, though, it's form pages. It's pages where people are discussing stuff. It's mostly text. Like, you go through a lot of Reddit, yeah, sure, there's images, and sure, there's, videos and stuff, but who the hell is popular on Reddit from videos? No one. But you hear legends of, crazy great copy pastas. Insert Navy SEALs copy pasta here. And, you know those, but you don't remember the guy that uploaded it. You just know it's the Navy SEALs copy pasta. That's how Reddit is, because it's moderated forums for things. And this is what kind of is the big problem of Reddit bots, compared to, say, something like, a Twitter bot, or an Instagram bot, or YouTube bots. Sure, they all suck. I mean, botted content no one likes, but, you can tell a botted YouTube channel. You can tell a botted Twitter page, a botted Instagram, because their numbers just don't match how much they should. Reddit, though, it's harder, because are you really checking someone's constant karma on Reddit? No. You're there because you need, hey, I had this specific problem. Like, I don't know, let's say my phone isn't working right? And it's just like, oh, well, this guy had that problem, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Cool. That's kind of how you're interacting with Reddit. And this leads into what I think Reddit's real big problem is, for what these bots are, is powered mods. Now, what does that mean? Well, like I described, moderators on YouTube, they're not, each channel is not moderator to moderator. Think of it like this. I manage my YouTube channel, but I don't manage the whole site's YouTube channels. Sure, YouTube has that, and they do that moderately okay, but when they do that, it's usually, you could tell when it's YouTube moderating stuff. Most of it, YouTube is just hands off. It's really not really a problem. Reddit does not do that. See, every subreddit, it has one moderator to it, or 4 moderators, or however many mods are on a Reddit page. Multiply that by however many subreddits there are. That's where you start getting a big problem, because at some point you get mods called power mods, where they kind of get a lot of power because of how much mod power they control over the whole site. That's not really good. So you're not able to just regulate that. Reddit is specifically designed with a lot of mods in mind. And this is what leads into this problem, because most of them overlap, and some of them are in big communities that they shouldn't be because they're, well, power hungry. So you start getting a creeping of where, hey, I moderate X, Y, and Z. Cool. Hey, you've been a moderator for X, Y, Z. I want you to be a moderator on, 154, or, something in that vein, where it's like, oh, well, at this point now, all of the big subreddits are, if you look at the mods, they moderate the exact same number of subs. And it's all a hive mind, but it's not hands-off moderation, because they still individually have a control. It's not like the more subs you have, the less control you have. You're still controlling it, It's a hard thing to explain, in a way, but really long-winded explanation short, it's basically, Reddit has this problem where their moderators are really more unpaid employees. It's how it is. And this is what leads into a really fun thing when you combine them with a crazy political leaning and some of that good old sweet corpo rat money from China or some other government agency. And at that point, Reddit operates how Reddit does, because the bots are a financial incentive. The bots also help them politically. And the bots also let the mods kind of push their ideas of whatever power trip they're on, is how best to describe it. Take a look at this website here real quick. These are a list of things that Reddit has to declare because they donate to stuff. Now, it's slightly out of date, but the CEO, Spez, donated to Democrat Senator Mark Kelly. Okay, not weird. I mean, it's fine. But as we keep scrolling, more higher-ups and more members of, Reddit's board also have donated to other Democrat candidates, Joe, Hillary. So you can clearly tell that, at least in the upper levels of the company, there is a bias, which gives them a political reason to start pushing bots, because it will help their ideas unless they're being paid off, which they probably are. I mean, come on. The lobbying firm doesn't do that nowadays. But it goes from, haha, funny numbers go, burp, to, oh yeah, no, they do this for political motivation. Which is why, the best way to feel about, bots and stuff all across, basically, Reddit and the internet is, the dead internet theory is kind of true, is really the thing here. Most content on Reddit is not user generated. Most content is a bot content, or, produced by some entity, not an individual. And then that builds into, the other side of Reddit, where it's mostly reposts of old stuff. And when it gets reposted, it's just the exact same caption and stuff. Maybe, honestly, because the bots are just pulling from Reddit data and trying to just, here's some post, okay, push it to the moon, So, you kind of have to realize that, when it's doing that, the politics side and the technical side are just making it so Reddit has this weird symbiosis for it. Which, look, honestly, we could talk about this for hours and hours and keep going. But before I go, I want to talk about something that I couldn't really fit into the story-ish structure of how we have it here. Which down below there, you'll see there's a link to another source. This source is basically a good study that shows visual data of what this movement is and how it overlapped with XYZ and how it went from, oh, a very tiny thing to, oh, now it's up here. But wait, it's also bought by this thing. And then it also shows you like what the active rates of these bot farms are. There's no like, hey, this is how they kind of operate. Like, and it makes the website feel almost hollow. Like when you really start looking through all this data, that most of Reddit is pretty much not users anymore. It's mostly political bots that just spur ideas and spur that. So it's like, you have to really think here what the incentive reason for it is, and the answer is simple. Reddit is not really, like, without it, it's not really functioning. Because for every time you get rid of a bot account, it will just show back up. Reddit kind of uses them as a, I guess a site flutter is the best way to describe it, where, yeah, most users just come here for a specific issue, or like a cat video or two or something. But this leads it to basically appear that Reddit is still functioning, albeit on its own political spectrum, which I truly believe Reddit should realistically be investigated for, you know, like, I guess more openness on its, like, way it is, if that makes any sense, because it should be very clear that, like, yeah, no, Reddit does this politically, but what are you going to do with the site? You because you can't go to 4chan, like I said earlier, it's FedRAN. Who wants to deal with feds? No one likes the feds. And then you can't go to Tumblr because, well, it's Tumblr. It doesn't exist anymore, really. And it's, like, not really there. And, like, Reddit is kind of just, at this point, just solely alive due to the fact of, like, yeah, they're just persisting as a political thing. Which, once you realize that, and you realize that all of Reddit is mostly Astroturfed, why use it? Why stay around? It serves virtually no purpose. So, anywho, we've been ranting for a while now. So, I'm gonna wrap it up with this, very simple. If Reddit needs to succeed by botting or making itself look political, tell people. Don't try to hide it and, like, deny that it's a thing, when everyone knows it's a thing. Make it obvious and be honest and try to fix the issue of, you know, crazy power modding and overreaching bots and, like, basic bias. I mean, I feel like that would solve your astroturfing issue, but what do I know? I'm not their, like, CFO or anything. Right? Right. Anywho, with that, I hope you all enjoyed this corner talk. I was ranting for a bit, but I do appreciate you all. So please do, like, comment and subscribe if you do really want more corner talks. I'm hoping to get back into content creation. It'll be great. And I got some great ideas, you know, personal favorite mechs in all of fiction. That's going to be a fun one to do, because that's going to be a long video. Or all the times Godzilla's shown up at comics, which He's shown up a lot. It's cool. But if anyone wants to join us live whenever we're live, join the Twitch streams down below. And with that, I wish you all a great rest of your day. And thank you for being here. And I hope to see you all next time. Alright, thank you. Goodbye.